My grandpa, Daniel de Leon, was a businessman that traveled to get materials all over Texas to sell. He loved to ride every day, and his passion was serving the Lord and traveling to Mexico to get business done and taking care of his ranch. Daniel de Leon was born May 15, 1930 in Mexico. His parents were Jose Maria de Leon and Guadalupe Garza Robles. The family lived in Ejido Lorenzo Cardenas, Tamaulipas, Mexico. At a wedding at Los Rios Ranch, my grandpa asked my grandma, Virginia Cano Trevino, daughter of Loreto Cano Flores, and Maria Adriana Trevino Flores, to be his girlfriend. About 4 years later, they had a civil marriage on January 20th, 1951, at my grandma's ranch. El Sarnoso by Judge Raul Trevino, which is my grandma's mother's cousin. My grandpa and grandma were 20 years old at the time. After 3 years of marriage, my grandpa's uncle Francisco Garza Robles invited them to live in Weslaco, Texas. My grandpa and grandma migrated to the United States on August 12, 1954. My grandpa and grandma lived in Victoria Road in the upper room of a garage. Mr. Thomas provided his boss, who operated a dairy farm. My grandpa would care for cows and milk them while he stayed there. Then they moved to live with my aunts, Aunt Nelda de Leon, sister of my grandma. My grandpa and his cousin Cesario Cano would walk from my grandma's sister's home to Victoria Road, which was about 10 miles round trip to go work for Mr. Thomas, which was my grandpa's boss from the dairy farm. Later, my grandpa worked for some time at the OK Cleaners. Most of my grandpa's life was spent in Mexico, but when he moved to Weslaco in 1954, he would come to his home in Weslaco to sleep only at night, sometimes, and go back to Mexico in the morning. The port of entry was Progreso, Tamaulipas, Mexico. Weslaco was a scrubland, with many trees everywhere you went. It was a small town with a few houses, buildings, and people. Weslaco is a peaceful little town with a population of 6,883 and consisted of 220 businesses in 1950s. My grandpa and grandma mortgaged a property with a house on Lee Garza, close by Nelda's home. The property was purchased from James Black. Back then, the monthly payment was $20. My grandpa then began to work with his cousin Jose Garza at his bar. Then he worked at G. Robles Supermarket, owned by Uncle Gonzalo Robles. My grandpa worked with the fruit and vegetable department. He would also deliver groceries to the homes of the store's customers. At night, he would go to the slaughterhouse, owned by his uncle Gonzalo Garza Robles, to help with the butchering of cattle that would be later sold at the store's meat department. He started to buy and resell cars during his free time. G. Robles' store burned, but the store reopened a second time. My grandpa worked a couple of months, then he quit his job. After Hurricane Beluga, my grandpa began selling wire and aluminum framing to Mexico. He would go to Houston, Texas to get these items. He also started buying antiques like gas stoves, gas refrigerators, and a Singer sewing machines for resale. My grandpa took his family up north to Michigan and Indiana with the help of my Uncle Jaime. A major event that occurred in my grandpa's life was when he saved some money with the help of my grandma, who got a loan and bought a ranch together along with his brother David. The ranch was San Jose, which was near Ejido Lorenzo Cardenas Rancho Nuevo, where my great-grandpa lived. Together, my grandpa and his brother built the ranch and his house to live in. My grandpa bought cattle, toros, that were used for bullfights. He remodeled old homes that came with his ranch. My grandpa also helped my great-grandfather with his ranch and cattle, which was only 10 minutes away from his ranch, San Jose. Although times in the 1970s were safer, people can walk to visit family and friends. My grandpa's ranch was secluded from people and stores, making everything driving distance. My grandpa later expanded his business by buying windmills, which were purchased all over Texas, but mostly bought from Neely Water Well Services owner R.J. Neely, and also bought from a Monterrey business. My grandpa and his son assembled the windmills at people's homes, like seen in these pictures. Life in the 1970s was safer. People could walk to places and wouldn't worry much about getting robbed or parents worrying their kids would get kidnapped compared to life now. Tamaulipas is a place of culture, family, and hard work. My dad told me how he would play outside with his cousins with rocks and go exploring and swimming in the lake to get fresh from the heat. My dad also told me that he would go biking with his friends to go get candy or to the store for some snacks. My grandpa and grandma were proud owners of 2 ranches in Mexico. They have 5 children, Jaime, Raul, Minerva, Hugo, and Daniel Jr. My grandpa was a very happy man that liked being busy. I remember every time he would come home from Mexico, he would come back with candy for me. My mom would always get upset, but that didn't stop him until I started getting cavities. My favorite memory of my grandpa is whenever he would put his finger outside his ear and go around it. This was our word for whenever he wanted to call somebody crazy. He would point to someone after he did that to tell me who he was saying that to. And I would just burst into laughter and then do the same thing. That's one of the many things my grandpa has taught me. When my grandpa started getting sick, he sang this song, La Venida del Señor. He liked the lyrics to this song because it spoke to him at this time of him being sick. In English, this song is called The Coming of the Lord.